I've been noticing a pattern recently where people, and I shouldn't even say people because we know which ones I'm talking about, will go online and they will post about how, they wish they could meet someone who lives close to where they are. They need more real life friends, as they call IRL friends, as they call it. And every time I see one of these posts now, I know that it's like 90 some percent of the time, they're full of crap. Um, I met this woman who I would say I've been talking to, I think, about 6, 7, 8 months, give or take. And she lives in the exact same city as me. Knows that I live in the same city as her, too. This is not the same one as the happy ending, female who is in the same state. This one's much closer. And I can absolutely bet my house that were I to say, hey, why don't we go and, eat somewhere together or, go and see a movie together, no chance of her taking that proposal. And I've always tried to look at things from the perspective of the other person. I can understand where you might, especially if you're a woman, feel intimidated by some guy off the computer meeting you, which is why oftentimes I will say, hey, if you want to meet in this public place, if you want to, restaurant, police station, whatever, just to kind of, give credence to this idea that this is not some attempt at doing something to you. But what's really sad is that you can have someone who you'll trade so many, copious messages with, just day after day after day, week after week after week. And there is never a point where it clicks in their head to go, hey, how about we actually meet? I mean, I already talked before about how hard it is to even get, someone's phone number or to be able to speak to them in a non-text fashion. So it's like it's already extremely difficult to just go beyond typing things to where you're like, hey, am I really surprised you can't get them to talk to you either? And in a real life capacity. But what's funniest are the ones that will go and make public posts of how they want more people to be friendly with or to hang out with outside of the computer. There was this one woman from Arizona that did something like that where she's like, I wish I had more people that I could talk with. And I responded to what she wrote and said something to the effect of, a lot of people just want to sit on the computer all day. They're not interested in having any kind of actual substantive beat for beat progressions of going from online to real life. And she blocked me. And I've mentioned that, like, one of the things I think is really funny about Twitter in particular is that, so like on Discord, I would get blocked by different chicks I spoke with and had, some kind of recurring exchange with. On Twitter, it's literally just, if you write something I don't like, I'm blocking you. So that one's always the most comedic. And I said before that a lot of social media is kind of turned into something it's not supposed to be, where like the whole premise of going on social media is that when you post something, there's supposed to be some level of intrigue of like what other people have to say. But then when this particular broad was posting stuff, every time I would respond to her, she just wouldn't say anything. So it's like, what's even the point of replying to, like, you put this stuff out wanting someone to read it and reply to it, and then when someone replies to you, you don't say anything back. It's like I said, it's all backwards. But the ones that post that they want someone to talk to always amuse me the most because of how, like, they're aware to some degree that just mainly are only speaking to people through the internet is not like just how you're supposed to live your life or have as your like day-to-day operations, which is why they say, oh, I wish in theory I had more people to talk to. But then when they have someone who they could theoretically get to know and then meet up with because they're already living relatively close to each other, they will almost next to never take you up on that chance. Like, the only people I've seen who are willing to do that, again, tend to live way further away, like on the other side of the US or in other countries altogether. And it's sad too, where it's just like that continuous paradox of the people who want to meet are so damn far away that it would be very expensive to see them. The people who who don't want to meet are so close that you could theoretically not cost anywhere near as much to get around and go and see. And it's I feel like it's, that's like on purpose, like by design. Like I really think a lot of these chicks that, make it sound as if they want to talk to someone are just bored, and they want to still like keep you at arm's length no matter what you do. I mean, look no further than that the woman from the, what video was that, with from the why long distance relationships are dumb video. You're talking about, you want to go on a you want to be romantically involved with a guy, you live in the EU, but you want a man to date a man from the US. And I didn't even say this in the video, I've said it a few times since then, but I couldn't understand after finding out that she had been uh what's the way of putting it, involved, had intercourse with this guy that she, lived close to or around, why the hell she would go from banging someone, physically, to now wanting to have these online relationships, because she did that with some other guy before she tried attempting it with me, and I said, go to hell. But I thought it was interesting how it's like part of that same thing where a lot of them are so like screwed in the brain that having a man who they don't have to do anything with except run their mouth to is sexy. Like they like the idea of limiting the guy's access to them by virtue of how far away they are. Because like I said, this, she's not online for the same reason a lot of guys come on here where, they feel like they can't meet anyone in real life, so they have to resort to this computer crap. She met someone who she liked enough to bang, but then she wants to, for her, successive or proceeding relationships, only be with guys that live so goddamn far away, so that she doesn't have to do anything to appease or appeal to them besides run her mouth. the lazy man's relationship or romance. I don't know. This is such an interesting like pathology of scammers, where you would ask yourself, what does someone get out of pretending they want to have more meaningful relationships when they do everything in their power to make sure that doesn't happen by virtue of just being so antagonistic to the people that live close to them when it comes to actually building something. And I said, that's what's so nuts about, these modern women, where it's like you have the ability to meet someone, right, to do that thing that you apparently can't do with, and it's not like it's just, like you're going on some dating website, someone you've been talking to for, in some cases, weeks, months, and when you're presented with that opportunity, you just will not do it. Because like I said, a lot of them really do live vicariously through the internet. I didn't even know this until recently. There was some kind of poll or data taken where apparently women are more active on every single social media website than men, except for YouTube. So like they're more likely to use Twitter and, the now deceased Facebook and Instagram. And I'm like, isn't it nuts that, like, just really think about this. Growing up, a lot of people had this idea of like the computer geek, right? Like the guy that just sits at his computer all day long in his mom's basement. It's like that's what these women have evolved into. It's like, you're sure some of them might go to school, some of them might have a job, but in terms of what do they do in their free time? Like what is the main thing that they're doing? Are they hanging out with people? Are they, traveling the world? No, their friends are all a bunch of faces, usually hidden behind, somebody else's face, some avatar, some person's picture they stole on some website that if they deleted their account, they would never have to see or hear from any of them ever again. And that's what's so wild to me, that they're more active than men, apparently, on every single social media site except this one. Because I was thinking about it, I said, I don't really use most other sites besides YouTube with any like, daily, just, I don't want to say quota, but, with any kind of consistency. But I see a lot of girls on there just constantly posting and posting and posting and posting. And, it's like, again, I'm not trying to make fun of anyone for being active on a website, but it's sad that you can talk to one of them in DMs, when they like respond to their post, and it's never going to go beyond that. And that's really a shame.